Francis.
And I'm Lenny Kluge.
We're two immigrants living in Chile talking about Chilean news, cultural events, travel, business, and more.
If you want to support our podcast, check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/The Chile Today Podcast. That's one word. www.patreon.com/The Chile Today Podcast.
Okay, so Lenny.
Bethany.
How's your week gone? How are you? What's going on? You tell me everything. I want to know it all.
Not much. There's
Great.
really not much going on these days. I've been working a lot on Chistora stuff and other stuff and odds and ends, and I really wish my life was a bit more exciting these days, but it really ain't.
I feel like my life's too exciting.
You want to outsource a few exciting things to me?
Oh, I'll outsource some exciting things to you.
Cool. How much you pay?
I don't pay.
Fuck. Okay, fine.
But I'll outsource some exciting things to you if you want to take on some of my things in my life.
Boy, yeah.
I'll just give you my brother's
yeah.
number, and you can just talk to him for a while when he's going through some stuff.
I'm good. With all respect to you, brother, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you're
I hope
missing
you
out.
listen to that.
You're missing out. Some quality conversations going on there.
All right. Well, you can send me an audio one of these days.
Wait, what?
An audio.
Gently.
Oh, I thought you said, send me something naughty one of these days. And I was like,
No.
Lenny! Oh, my
we haven't gotten
goodness.
to that stage yet.
Not yet. Oh, my
Oh,
goodness.
boy.
That's a weird way to put that in there. Wait,
Just
what? That's what she said?
Direct, no punches held. Boom.
Boom, boom. Okay, so before we get to our news episode, we are going to bring you some events. So before we bring you your events, because I have no... before we do that, before... Let me tell you about the Patreon. So we now officially have 3 levels in our Patreon. We have a $5 level, which gives you access to all of our tourist tips and discount tickets. So discount or free tickets. Tourist tips are like if you're traveling here or if you live here, best places to brunch, most authentic places or to eat in Santiago, most popular places to eat in Santiago. Do you tip? Do you not tip? What conversation should you avoid? What application should you download? What is your name? All of these things are available at the $5 level. The $10 level gets you access to all of that, plus a Discord and some free merch.
Yes.
Yes, and access to early episodes. Now we have a new $20 level, which gives you access to all of those things, and you're going to get quarterly merch. So merch every quarter. Every 3 months, basically. And this merch is different from the $10 level, so it's exclusive merch just for the $20 level. You're getting access to all of those other things, Discord, and you'll get live Q&As or live videos of Lenny, me, and Pinguino doing different things, entertaining you.
Doing Q&A. Not doing anything you want. Let me just put
yeah,
this out there.
it's not anything you want. You can
For that,
request
we have the
things.
$100 level.
Yeah,
so.
you can request things, but
Or OnlyFans.
we can veto, okay? Request and we veto. Anyway, the Patreon's a really fun place to be, and if you are someone who comes to our shows or wants to start coming, I mean, even if you come to one event, it pays for itself. So, especially at the $5 level. So it's really a good place to be. So that's patreon.com/The Chile Today Podcast. So here are some events in which you'll get either discounts or free stuff at. The first one is, tell them about it, Lenny.
We're going to have another stand-up comedy show
Bilingual.
on July 2nd. It's bilingual, as it's usually always bilingual, but nevertheless, a stand-up comedy show. And we decided this time that we're going to go back to the roots, to the Black Rock Pub, where everything started. Well, that's not quite true, but,
Back to our home. The Black Rock Pub is our home.
Our spiritual home, the Black Rock Pub in Providencia. It's a bit smaller of a venue, so if you want to come, make sure that
you come early. And you
get a
have
seat.
to have a mobility pass.
You have to have a mobility pass because it's an inside venue.
That's 4 doses. Or if you're not from Chile, you don't live Chile, that 3 doses.
That's correct. So come early, have your mobility pass, grab a seat, order some really good food. They got really good grub there.
Grub.
Yep.
And
grub,
beer.
And beer and good stuff. And come enjoy the show. Have a few laughs. That's on July 2nd, which is a Saturday.
And that's at
Saturday.
That's a Saturday. You get free entry. Cheerio if you're on our Patreon. Free
That's
entry.
correct.
3,000 pesos
it's
for the peasants. And I'm gonna be telling jokes, and so is Pinguino. So if you've never met us, we'd love to meet you and say hi.
I'm just going to be sitting there and judging you guys and probably collect some cash the way I see things going.
Okay, so our next event is July 7th. It's the Horrible Movie Night, and I know you guys, it sounds horrible, but it's not. It's actually really fun. This month we're
It's a
doing.
movie.
It's a movie. Well, it's really casual. It's a movie. We like sit back, relax. It's not like you have to be super quiet or anything. The whole point of it is to like chit chat, make fun of the movie. Drink some Coca-Colas, or if you're a beer person like I am, drink a beer. This month, July 7th is when it is, and we're watching Dude, Where's My Car? Because it is a horrible movie, but it is also such a classic.
Sweet. Sweet.
What does your tattoo say? Dude. Okay. Anyway, what was the other one? Anyway, so we're going to watch Dude, Where's My Car? And that's also at the Black Rock. And if you are one of our special people who is a patron, you get a free beer when you come. So first free beer is on us. And
Yes,
what's the next one?
The next one is going to be the following week, and this is going to be a first. We're going to try out a new thing. We're going to organize a brunch.
Brunch.
Yes, a brunch. You've heard this here first. What we're trying to do is just set up a little, meetup for expats, for people curious about Chile, curious about Santiago.
Wanting to practice their English if you're a Chilean or whatever.
Or Spanish if you're American or from other lands. You want to meet people that have been living here for like 5, 10, 15 years. You can, because we're going to be there. You can talk to us. And oh God, you just threw me off.
Sorry. Making faces at him.
Making faces, right. No, but you can, like, if you want to know a little bit more about Santiago, life in Chile, you can come to us.
Just want to make new friends.
If you want to
Meet
know
me,
about
get
stuff,
Pinguino's
things
autograph.
to do, if you want to know about things to do in Santiago, this is also like the place to be. We're going to tell you a little bit about upcoming things, not only Chistolas things, also different things. And, last but not least, there's going to be a kick-ass brunch. So what's not to love about that?
Everybody loves brunch. And the first 5 people to come to the brunch, the first 5 people that arrive, get a free beer. And if you're a patron on the Patreon, you get a free mimosa.
Right.
So if you're a patron and you're one of the first 5 people, you gonna get smashed, or at least you're gonna get a beer and a mimosa.
Well, actually, not the first 5 people to arrive. The first 5 people to make a reservation.
Oh, that's what I meant. First 5 people to make a reservation.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Because,
didn't. I didn't realize we were doing reservations till just now.
Yeah, no, I think we need to make reservations because a lot of people want to come to that.
Pending, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, we're still hammering out a few details, but we're
we'll
going to
let you
post
know.
the event on our Chistolas
and also
page and on Chile Today podcast.
So you'll know all the info.
As soon as we get it all hammered out, we're going to post it up there. But, start getting excited about it because it's going to be pretty
Either
rad.
way, yes or yes, if you're a patron, you're getting a free mimosa.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, the last event, our most popular event of the month, this is on July 23rd, and that is the Bilingual Trivia Night, or a pub quiz, as people from Europe like to say. It's bilingual. There are rounds in English and Spanish. It's super, super popular, and because it's a lot of fun. It's a real good time. It's a rootin' tootin' good time, as I like to say. It's a rootin' tootin' good time.
All
So,
right.
in this, you can
It's a hootenanny for hoedown.
It's definitely a hootenanny. It's a hoot and a half. So you can get friends and you can do a team of up to 4 people. We have rounds in English and Spanish. Each round you can win a prize. If you're not that great at English or you're not that great at Spanish, that's okay because we will repeat questions for you in whichever language of the 2, not German, unless you ask Lenny, then maybe he'll do German.
We'll have to do
And it's
translations
really
on the
fun.
fly.
For the whole team, it is $10,000 for the whole team. It's $2,500 of a discount if you're a patron. And if you don't have a team because you're alone and you're new to the city or you're just traveling through, that's okay. There's usually a team that's searching for an extra person. So come on and come down there and we'll get you hooked up and you'll get to meet people.
And where is it going to be?
It's going to be at the Black Rock and it's
Like
on July
everything
23rd.
else this
like
month.
everything else this month. Normally we have things that going on in different places, but
Which doesn't mean we love the other places. Like, we don't love the other places anymore, but, like, we just decided to go all in.
Yeah, I mean,
Black Rock this
it's
month.
it's an independent business. We know the owner. It's a small business. It's a pyme, as they say. So we like to do things and support the little guys, and that's why
It's
we
a great
go there.
place.
It's also just really nice. It's got really good beer. We wouldn't drag you guys to something that would not be
please,
good.
we got standards.
I have standards.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but
I got
anyway.
lower standards.
Those are our events for the upcoming month. We hope to see you guys there. Like I said, with all of these events coming up, if you join the Patreon, you're actually going to be making money. Like, you're going to be, like, not making money, but you're going to be not spending money, right?
Exactly. Become a patron, become rich.
Become a patron and get rich quick. And it just also like helps us support us in what we're doing, trying to buy equipment or just like getting different things together. And anyway, so we love you guys. We want to meet you and see what you're all about, since you know what we're all about. So here we go. Lenny, show me your nudes.
I was under the impression. I just thought for a second that you said nudes, but
I did.
Okay, I was just trying to throw you a line here, but okay, fine.
I meant news.
News, of course. Well, we're gonna start as usual with your favorite news section, which is the COVID-19 update. Yeah, you're probably gonna hate hearing about this by now, but it's still going on. And
I mean, if you're planning to travel to Chile, it might be, it might be good to be abreast of the situation.
Nice.
Of what's going on,
Oops.
if things are increasing, decreasing. We are in legit winter right now.
Oh,
so
yes. Winter has came, as Ned Stark predicted.
that's what, wait.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's one of those days.
One of those days. So, COVID-19. Now, day of the recording is Friday, June 23rd. As of today, we are having...
24th.
It's the 24th, bro.
Yes, the 24th, because I live in the past. I just forgot to correct that number, so that's what I meant to say. Friday, June 24th. And as of today, we have 10,834 new cases with a positivity rate of 17.28%.
Jesus!
Last time we did a news section, that was about a month ago. I checked, it was at 10.19. Now, it's quite a bit more, but it seems to be leveling out. I've been checking.
The curve is.
The curve is flat. It's not
going
at
down.
the breaking point yet, but it's flattening.
Flatten that curve.
Yeah. Now
Sit on it.
The problem right now is that the available critical. Well, it's not a problem yet, but the available critical ICU beds are right now at 227, which actually between yesterday and today was quite a big leap, because before that it was around 270, 280. Right. And the days and even weeks before that, it didn't fluctuate a lot. I don't know what happened between yesterday and today, but it was quite the jump. But still, we're not in dire straits when it comes to ICU capacity, so, it's all good still.
Right. But
however, there are right now, or as of yesterday, at least 192 people with COVID-19 in the ICU right now, not in the critical beds, but in the ICU as such, which is actually the highest number since May 5th. So that's not good.
No. But also, I mean, not this is not related to COVID, but this is related to illnesses. We have seen, and there's going to be, I'm sure, more research on this, an incredible increase in illnesses, not necessarily COVID-19 related, in small children.
Yep.
And a lot of people are theorizing that this is because a lot of those children who are now toddlers, born during COVID, or very close to the beginning of COVID, staying inside, not seeing a lot of other kids, not getting a lot of the immunity that they need. Now they're going to preschool and suddenly they're just getting sick left and right. And then illnesses that would have been very easy for like a healthy child to fight off are now becoming very severe. So the ICU also has a lot of children in it right now.
Yep.
And
that's a different ICU.
But still, I mean, if you don't think there's going to be overflow, there definitely will be. So they're also they decided to like give children a little longer vacations because of such. Yes. So it's So if you're planning on traveling with small children, maybe that's influences you. I don't know.
Influences you?
Yeah, but I was wondering why this wasn't happening in the U.S. and I guess it's because we have been so isolated, because we did isolate much more than the U.S. at least, much more than most countries. That the little kids really have had no exposure to other kids, or at least not in a large sense. Maybe one cousin or two cousins or something like that, or the kids in their apartment buildings, but not in this big scale.
If you've ever met a toddler, if you've ever had a hot beverage with a toddler and a nice little conversation with a toddler, sat down with a toddler for like an hour and a half, you would know that
they stick their hands in their mouths.
They
rub
get
their butts.
sick left and right. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have
just
kids
a
of myself,
healthy
but I have a
kid.
lot of friends that have like kids, had kids, and it's just like the first couple of years, just like, oh, your kid is not sick. That's a day to celebrate.
Congrats.
Because that's what kids do.
Yeah.
And of course, for that they need exposure to germs and shit like that. And I mean, there's Mother Nature had an idea when they build toddlers like that. They need to get sick in these early stages to develop a functioning immune system, and that's not given right now. So that's the
Right.
problem there.
So it's been an interesting effect of COVID for a lot of really young children who've never been exposed to, I mean, not only other children, but just the world, right? Like, and things that children touch are disgusting because children are kind of disgusting. With all respect. No offense, children. To all the children who listen to this podcast.
To all the toddlers that are listening to this.
Yeah, some of my best friends are children, I swear.
Okay, yeah.
So I just wanted to
That's
throw...
not even a joke, man. They're like 40, but still children.
That sounds really bad, especially with my next news thing. But
yep.
So keep going. Sorry.
So yeah, I mean, that's bad enough. The other bad thing is also right now that people don't really take the vaccination campaign all that serious anymore, as it seems. On May 31st, of all newspapers, Las Últimas Noticias, which is like the local tabloid news here, they found that 2,174 school classes have fewer than 80% of the students completely vaccinated, which means that as of the beginning of June, they have to start implementing a hybrid teaching scheme, meaning that part of the students will have to log into the classroom from their home computer and taking turns with the other students.
Right, because you can't go to school if you're not completely vaccinated.
2,174 classes. It's a lot. I don't know the percentage there, but it's a lot. Just a day later, June 1st, and I think we talked about this on the last news episode, 1.8 million mobility passes were blocked because their holders were not up to date with the vaccination regime.
Mm-hmm.
Regimen. Well, I like to keep the
vaccination.
Well, like
the German over here.
It's a coup d'etat, man. It's like the vaccination dictatorship.
Oh, Jesus.
So we have, man, this is so many layers to unwrap here. So about 10 days later, on June 10th, the iCovid workgroup revealed that vaccination among the population has fallen by 22% since March, which means that we're currently at an effective vaccination rate of 59.6%, or even less by now, because that news is like 2 weeks old. So
and then it's interesting because what ends up happening a lot of times is people find this out, like comes public, and then there's a big rush to give vaccines. And then there's not enough vaccines, so people start bitching about it. They're like, where's all the vaccines? And it's like, bro, they only have...
wait around for 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's like, just go get your vaccine. Las Condes, you can schedule it. Just go get your vaccine. Yeah. Choose a wise thing. Don't wait till now. I mean, like, we do a lot of events. Like, we're part of the Chistolos, which is like an event planning group and comedy group. And we had a team that had a reservation for a very popular pub quiz and there were people from the team that had to get turned away because they were not up to date with their vaccines.
Did that happen last time?
It happened last time, yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
And so these people left their one person high and dry who still wanted to play. Luckily, that of course, like we said, you can come alone. And so this person ended up going into a new team, meeting some new people, and they looked like they were friends by the end of it, drinking beers together. They won a prize, so there you go.
I heard from them. They got married yesterday.
They got married.
They're all pregnant
so
now.
And Jesus,
yep,
I wouldn't doubt
this
it.
is
all
what
my
happens
friends,
when you come to Chistolos events, man.
you get
married and pregnant.
Look, I met my fiance at a Chistolos event.
True that.
So there you go.
Indeed.
Right there.
Right.
Meet the love of your life.
Since we're already talking about good news. So, beginning of this month, the government announced that the validation of foreign vaccination certificates will take no longer than 48 hours. Now, if you're planning on traveling to Chile, perk up, because this is important. They said it will take no longer than 48 hours. Children under 18 years of age are exempted from that process as long as they are accompanied by their parents that hold a valid certificate. The idea behind this is that the government expedited this process with the end of reactivating the tourism sector. Now, if for some reason the validation takes more than 48 hours, tourists can now request a temporary mobility pass that lasts for 96 hours, which is also a good thing. If the validation request is rejected, you have the possibility to do a PCR, which then can be used in lieu of the mobility pass, as long as the result is no older than 24 hours.
Sure.
Which I don't know if they meant 24 hours by the time you get it or by the time you took it, because that's a very tight thing. Because I mean, a lot of tests still take up to 8 to 16 hours, so you got like a window of a couple of hours. I'm assuming it's from. I hope so. So that's the thing. Now, the result of the validation process, that's actually the interesting part about this, which I found interesting, is that the result of the validation process will not affect the validity of the temporary mobility pass. Now, thinking about it, wouldn't that mean, I mean, not that I would go through any such length, but wouldn't that mean that I could, like, for example, upload my grandmother's apple pie recipe, hope that they won't get around to checking it within the first 48 hours, and then get a mobility pass, a temporary mobility pass? Like,
I mean,
I could be like,
knowing Chile, that'd probably work.
yep.
Don't do it.
I mean,
Get your
unlikely
vaccines.
that people go through the hassle, especially if they're coming from abroad, but, Chileans might actually do that. And, speaking of this, speaking of using a negative PCR result as a substitute for the mobility pass, in mid-June, the government has come under heavy fire, among others from the Colmet, the medical college, by considering expanding this exception from tourists to the general population, which is Chileans.
Okay.
The Colmet criticized that they were not consulted about this change beforehand and are worried that this might send the wrong signals. The president of the Chilean Gastronomy Association also criticized this measure, but he actually went the other way, which was interesting. He said that, people wouldn't go through the hassle of taking a PCR test just to go to the restaurant. But, then he dropped the other shoe, and he said that he was actually hoping that the government would soon do away with the whole mobility pass scheme altogether and look for other means to incentivize vaccination, which is like, okay, you started off on the right foot there, but,
I
turn
mean,
it around.
it's hard, right? I mean, honestly, I feel like the mobility passes have been working. As far as like that's been a big motivator for people to get their vaccines. I think that it is winter. People are going out less.
Yep.
And if they
also
are
getting sick more.
yeah, and just staying in. Chileans don't like weather, and
like in general.
I mean they just in general don't like
Is
wet
there weather outside? No, I'm not going.
Cold, wet weather. It needs to be a nice balmy weather.
Between 20 25.
Yeah, for them to go out. And so, and carretear and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, from what I know about Chileans, they're more likely to go to a house party in the winter than they are to go out to a restaurant. But I also wanted to mention that, so for people living in Chile, for people who are residents in Chile, you have to have your 4 doses. For foreigners, that's 3 doses.
4 doses for foreigners?
Yeah, 3 doses for foreigners.
Okay.
4 doses for folks that aren't foreigners. But as is the case with somebody that I know here, they came here with their 90-day tourist visa, and their 2 dose expired while they were here. So so they no longer have a mobility pass.
They are locked away.
I'm not quite sure what you can do at that point, because their thingy is expired, but they're still legally allowed to be in Chile.
They're probably not allowed to go into restaurants anymore.
Yeah, no. And so I don't know. I don't know where we are as far as giving vaccines to people who aren't residents here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no,
I can't
don't
give
have
you
an
that
answer for this
info.
one either right now.
Can't
But
give
what
you
I
that
can
info.
tell you that apparently, well, actually, I can tell you that because I haven't really found out much about this whole thing either. This whole idea of using a negative PCR test result as
I guess
a
that
substitute.
person could do that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if that's a thing or not, because I was actually looking for it. I mean, granted, I didn't spend an hour searching for it, but I just did a quick Google search, and there was really nothing. The only site that actually came up with some information that wasn't older than a week or 2 was Chilean, which is... Anywho, in other potentially good news, a little more than 2 weeks ago, a group of epidemiologists, say that 10 times when you're drunk, at the Universidad de Santiago predicted that we'll reach the peak of this 5th wave in 2 weeks, which would be around the time of this recording. This observation was based on the development of the R number, which is the factor by which it's the pirate factor, which is the factor by which
we do like to pirate things.
The pirate spreads. I mean, the virus spreads from person to person. And while it was still above 1, which means that one person on average still spreads the virus to more than one other person, the R number lately has slowly been falling. I actually checked just before I came here, and as of yesterday, the R number has been under 1 for the first time since early May. So yay! I hope it stays that way. Now, as we already established, winter has officially come, and unfortunately, COVID is not the only problem right now. I'm not even talking about the monkeypox, because even though we already have a few confirmed cases here in Chile. But what really puts a strain on the healthcare network right now is the surge of...
We don't even have that many monkeys.
Yeah, we don't even have... I don't know what people are so worried about.
Why are they worried?
So yeah, what really puts a strain on the healthcare network right now is the surge of the respiratory. You gotta help me with the pronunciation here. Syncytial virus, is that how it's pronounced?
Okay, so
Which is the virus that you just talked about before?
exactly. Well, the ones that little kids get,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
really, really dangerous for. It's related to whooping cough. I can tell you that because
Okay,
I just
gotcha.
looked it up. It's very similar to whooping cough, which I know a lot of people who speak English know what it is. It's a respiratory infection that's really dangerous for small children.
Exactly. Only English speaking people.
Well, I
get
just
the
I just talked to a friend who
whooping
has a
cough.
baby, and she was like, she was really, really scared. Her baby's like 3 weeks old,
Yeah.
and she was telling me what that virus was, and I was like, whooping cough, and she was like, no, not whooping cough, and then I looked it up.
Goldberg? What?
I looked it up, and it's similar. It's similar respiratory
yeah.
cough situation.
Right. So as you said, like this is a virus that affects chiefly children under the age of 5, and leaving them with a fever of like 38.5 Celsius or 1.1.3
It's dangerous for little
Fahrenheit or
guys.
more. Now, added to that, we have, of course, also other respiratory diseases, such as COVID, might have heard of, the flu, the common flu, which is also, I think, can also classified as a respiratory disease, which
Which you
have
can get your
contributed to a
vaccine
near
here.
collapse of the pediatric intensive care units, which
Right,
you also said.
and remember, you can still get your
Yeah.
flu vaccine here. I think it costs 8,000 pesos in most places
Yeah,
to
and I
get your
think
flu vaccine.
if you belong to a risk group, which means that you have like immunocompromised, if you're overweight,
Right.
if you have heart problems, whatever, you can get it for free. I think.
Yeah, and I think people with certain types of insurance can also
Yeah,
get it for free.
exactly.
Just inquire at your local.
Yeah. He sent the Inquisition. So right now the pediatric intensive care units are right now with an occupation of 92%. So they are very close to collapse.
Which is
right
what
now.
we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. Now, as a countermeasure, and I think you mentioned that too, the Ministry of Education has decided to add another week to the front end of the winter vacations in 14 of the country's 16 regions. Now, okay, I send Magallanes, sit down, chill out, because they already had three weeks to begin with.
Right,
You know,
because
I
they're
guess
super
they're
fucking
just
cold and they don't want people to
dark
freeze
and
to
everything.
death.
So children in these regions will now have 3 instead of 4 weeks, instead of
Wait.
2 weeks. Sorry, instead of 2 weeks. Exactly, you're screwed. They will now have
Math.
3 instead of 2 weeks of vacation, and they will start on They will start the vacation on June 30th, with a return to classes planned on July 25th. Now, the reasoning behind this is that kids will stay home and reduce contacts with their peers at school, of course, and also because it's winter, people are unlikely to mingle as much as they would during summertime. Now, it has to be noted that the meals provided by the Juanep, which is a state institution.
Juan Eb.
Yeah, Juanep.
Juan Ebenezer.
No, Junaep,
Right.
not Juanep. I always mix it up. The Junaep, Dios mío.
Dear God.
Their service, the meals provided by the Junaep for students in need, will still be provided during this extra week of vacation. So, if you
Did
are...
you say week? This
The
extra
week, the extra
week.
week. I don't know. The more I speak English, the more I fall back into my German accent. Yeah. So if you are a family in need, you can provide your children with a proper meal,
Sure.
and this
Right,
really
because-
throws a wrench or winch in your plan.
It's gonna be like a repeating
Yeah,
thing,
it's gonna
isn't
be a
it?
thing right now. So you can still take them to the Hunaip and get them well fed.
Right.
Now, also, an important thing to know for parents is that during this extra week of extra week of vacation, their employers are obliged to let them work from home.
Good. I was
the
actually
law.
gonna ask
As
that.
long as there are like 3 conditions here. The nature of their job allows for teleworking, of course. I mean, if you work on a construction site, it might be a little difficult. B, at least one of the children is younger than 12 years of age, or they are the caregiver to a disabled person.
Okay.
Or can I still say disabled these days?
Yes,
I'm not even
yes,
Yeah,
sure.
okay, cool. So, yep. Okay, and last piece of news when it comes to COVID right now is a scandal has been uncovered by an investigative unit of the news outlet Bio Bio, because it turns out that the MinSal, the Ministerio de Salud, the health ministry, has been vastly underreporting daily cases, up to 2,000 daily cases.
Jesus,
This-
again?
This was because for some reason, this is like the weirdest thing ever. This was because for some reason, the cases that came in after the cutoff for the daily report of the ministry were not considered in the report for the following day.
But they were just like ignored.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, not quite ignored, because the ministry said that they were actually adding those numbers to the total accumulated cases, but for some reason they didn't add it to the daily cases, which is the weirdest thing ever. It's like, if you're doing that already, might as well just add it to the daily. What's the big idea? Now,
And I guess they didn't say why they were doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah, they did. Oh, they had an excuse because well, look, like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter to be honest, because the results that are not being included are positive as well as negative results, which means that it's unlikely
Right.
to impact the positivity rate or the R
Sure.
number. So, and also considering that the actual number of COVID infections are about
And is
3
somebody
to 5
looking at the
times as
COVID
high
infections and going like,
as we know, you
and
know.
like being like that if that was 1,000 more, I would actually go get my vaccine, but because
Well,
it's
no, actually, look. So the government argues that people usually look at the positivity rate and the tendencies and not so much at the daily numbers. I don't
I
know.
don't agree with that.
I don't agree with it either.
I
do
pretty much
that.
just look at that big number at the top
Yeah.
of the screen.
Okay,
It's
look,
like 10,000. I'm
I
like,
mean,
oh
I look
shit.
at that too. I look mostly at the positivity rate, but it's
Yeah, but
more
you're
it
weird.
has more of an. I know that, but and I take pride in that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the daily cases has more of an impact. And actually, a few experts that they interviewed there, they said that the risk perception of the people changes when seeing 8,000 cases as opposed to, let's say, 10,000 cases. It's a different thing, you know.
Yeah, okay, that makes
And
sense.
another point that was made.
Psychology.
Another point that was made was that this revelation could also undermine the government's credibility and make people doubt in the veracity of the information, which
That's
then
true.
again could lead to risky behavior. So, not cool.
Oh,
Report
speaking
the
of risky
numbers.
behavior, you know what I heard? Here's some cheesiness
Juicy?
for you.
Oh boy.
So one of my really good friends, they're gonna be redacted from this because I don't want this person to get in trouble.
Oh, you mean beep?
Yeah, Beep. So Beep was sort of teleworking for a while for like different reasons.
Oh, I know beep.
You know Beep?
Yep.
So
Hi, Beep.
so Beep was teleworking. What? Teleworking for a while, like telemarketing and Okay,
Yeah,
anyway.
I got you.
While she was teleworking, one of the big bosses from her job had like severe symptoms, cough, blah, 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 was still going to the office and was like, no, did not take a PCR and was like, no, I'm totally fine. Everything's fine. It's just a cold, which I feel like a lot of Chileans are doing now because it's winter and Chileans somehow think when it gets cold, that's what causes colds. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's not what causes colds. Leave me alone about me not wearing shoes when it's perfectly toasty in my apartment. And she had COVID. This boss had COVID and like gave it to like basically the entire office.
Sometimes.
And I'm like, that is so incredibly irresponsible. Like, just if you've got symptoms of COVID, take a PCR, stay home, take a PCR, get your results, and then go back to being a weird asshole boss. Like, just
take the PCR
you know
first.
what? If you're listening to this, you're a good boss. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah, the third.
But
dollar
I was
level.
just like, I can't, like, and my friend was really lucky that she happened to be like teleworking from home at the time, like, or she would have gotten COVID like everybody else in her office. And actually it, like, the COVID affected more the staff, like the secretaries, because they're the ones that are running in and out of the bosses' places, and so they got sick while some of the other like higher ups didn't get sick. They have their own offices, they have their own space and everything. And so yeah, it's pretty sad.
Yeah,
So just be responsible, people. Like, the pandemic's not over. I know
take it
we
seriously.
like to think that, but it's really not. Like, have a good time. But if you start running symptoms, just, you know, go home, take a rapid test. If it's positive, stay the fuck home. If it's not, continue your life as usual. But like, get your vaccines, do your thingy, you know?
Yep. All right, that's all that I have for COVID now.
Okay, so one of the big news items in Chile, if you're living here, that you know, but if you're not living here, you might not know. So, Codelco, which is a Chilean state mining company, very big to the Chilean economy, has been having some problems. So it's the largest producer of copper in the world, and there have been protests against the government because of the closing of certain foundries. It says foundry, but I'm trying to find a word that's less weird. Like certain processing plants, right? Processing plants. And there's a reason, and it's to curb pollution, because these places where these plants have been directly affecting the health of the people who live in these places. They're actually called sacrifice zones.
And the whole environment.
I mean, the environment, yeah, but also like the human people that live there are just like, anyway. So Boric made the decision to shut down 2 of these plants of Codelco in order to...
Was it 2? I thought it was just 1.
2.
Oh, okay.
In order to curb this pollution problem and to help with the human people that are being affected.
The human people.
Yeah, so there was at least 18 people who were arrested for a strike that began on Wednesday the 22nd.
Arrested?
Because they were arrested.
For striking?
Yeah.
That's not cool.
I don't think they were arrested for striking. I think they were
okay.
arrested like in relationship to what they did during the strike.
Gotcha.
Because they were striking against like the closure of these foundries. So they gathered, it's on the 22nd, they gathered at 6 mining facilities around the country, so like more than just the ones that shut down, like all of the Codelco was going to go on strike, blocking the entrances and setting tires on fire. Classic.
Can't go wrong there.
Can't go wrong there. So the Ventanas foundry, which is the one of the ones that closed, was one where the biggest strike was. And it was shut down after, as we were saying, poisonings in the area, specifically of sulfur dioxide.
That doesn't sound healthy at all.
No, I mean, there were a lot of people that were like going to the hospital. It was bad. So the union officials have described the closure of the foundries located about 87 miles or 140 kilometers west of Santiago as arbitrary and are demanding the government invest $54 million to bring the plant up to the highest environmental standards. So basically, they don't want it closed down. They just want to like raise it to a good environmental standard. Only there's certain like very real reasons why that can't happen with certain types of mining plants. Like they just don't have the ability to do that. You can't like just change it. It'd be easier to just build another plant somewhere else. And also this has been sort of in the works for a very long time. Like the closure of Ventanas has been being talked about for so long.
Like they weren't blindsided by it.
No, this is not something that's new. And Boric has promised to protect the environment.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and so it's just not...
I'm sorry, the environment, but also like the workers.
Yeah, he's been talking about the closure of Ventanas since he got elected. So this is not a surprise to anybody, just the fact that it actually happened. So the union leader said that the strike was paralyzing Codelco, although the finance minister, Mario Marcel, minimized the effect, saying that it has altered production but not shut down operations, which is important because, like I said, Codelco is a giant mining industry, not only in Chile but in the world. It's also state-owned, so it affects everyday Chileans. Yep. But Mario Marcel, smart finance minister man, was like, no, it's going to alter it, but it's not going to shut down operations. He says that there is no stoppage of mining sites. Therefore, the impact on the financial income is basically zero. As somebody who is marrying somebody who works in the mining industry, there has been very little to no effect on the copper industry since the closures, except for just like annoying, like different small things, like shifts, right? Shifts in like investments. Mm-hmm. So the Federation of Copper Workers, FTC, which is an umbrella group of Codelco unions, said that 50,000 workers were expected to strike, including staff and contractors, after the Ventana smelter shut down, despite calls to keep it open. We already have all divisions stopped today, Amador Pantoja, the union's president, told Reuters. We're going to wait calmly in the morning to talk and see if there's a chance to talk. The FTC has said that the strike will cost Codelco, which produces approximately 8% of the world's copper, amounting to 10 to 15% of Chile's GDP, $20 million a day. So actually, we're losing more money on the strikes than we would if it was shut down. Because the thing is not shut down immediately. The plan was to shut it down progressively over several months.
Yes.
So the decision to close was followed by an incident on June 7th when 115 people, mostly school children, suffered sulfur dioxide poisoning, forcing the closure of schools in the area.
Well, yes, you do. Right.
So the thing that made a lot of people mad and like really forced Boric's hand was what they did was they were like, so instead of shutting down the mine, we're shutting down the schools. And he was like, you don't do that.
The plant, you mean?
Right, not the mine, the plant and the foundry.
Right.
And it was like, no, this is not okay. That's not the thing that you do.
Yeah.
You don't shut down the schools because children are getting sick because of the plant. You shut down the plant because children are getting sick.
Shut down the kids.
Right. You just shut the kids down. And so, that was really bad. So Greenpeace, controversial group, I understand, described the area around Ventana's plant as Chile's Chernobyl, which I think, calm down a little bit. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Okay, it's about Greenpeace. Following a serious
Guido doesn't
incident.
seem to agree here.
So, this is not the first incident that happened. Again, as we were saying, this is not the first time that Ventanas and this Codelco plant has been in trouble. In 2018, about 600 people in the city of Quintero and the town of Punchacaví received medical treatment for symptoms including vomiting blood, headaches, dizziness, paralysis of their extremities, and strained red marks on children's skin, all connected to the plant.
Okay.
So, the area, home to about 50,000 people, has suffered high pollution since the government in 1958 moved to convert it into an industrial center that is now host to 4 coal-fired power stations such as oil and copper refineries. And again, we are, as a country, trying to get away from oil as well. So, President Boric, about a week ago, it says, decried Chileans' record on polluting the environment. And he said, we don't want any more areas of environmental sacrifices, because these are called sacrifice zones. That's like literally what they call them. But it is. It's like fuck you guys. We're gonna produce it and get over it.
I just
like
wonder,
it's
like,
super
what
bad.
government consultant has come up with this name. It's like let's come up with something that really doesn't sound so bad. How about sacrifice areas? I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
You just know if you're going there, you're going to be sacrificed for the greater good of copper.
Just bring a goat, So we have
the greater good of copper, hashtag.
The copper god.
The copper gods. So he also said there are now hundreds of thousands of people who live in our country exposed to severe degradation of the environment that we have provoked or allowed, and as a Chilean, that makes me feel ashamed. So on this past Wednesday, the government spokeswoman, Camila Vallejo, said Santiago remains open to dialogue, but that it was focused on a, quote, a more substantial model of development. Our standards are very low, and if we truly want to meet our environmental commitment, we have to be guided by the World Health Organization. Okay, so, updates. The strike is now over. It only lasted, like, less than a day.
Impressive.
So... It was pretty impressive. So Codelco agreed on Thursday. So the strikes began on Wednesday, and then on the following Thursday, the day later, they ended the strikes. The FTC, as I was saying, claimed that they're going to stop all organized strikes. And it says, we've determined as a council to inform the president of unions to lift the strike. And that was, again, Pantoja. And he cited progress made during talks with management. That's all they said.
Yeah, I got an inkling that this has something to do with.
You got a tingle?
That with the change in the law that Maria Marcel actually pushed through the next day, because they decided that as going forth, 30% of Codelco's profit will be directly reinvested into the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like that happened the same day that the strike stopped, because before it was just like 100% to the government, and then the government was like, okay, we're gonna just like distribute it wherever we see fit, and they were like, no. Now like 30% of this whole thing of the cake is gonna go back to Codelco, and you're gonna decide where to put that money. I mean, of course, like modernize these things. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Which is smart, right? Because ultimately, profits from Codelco do go back into Chile.
Right.
So it's just a smart move. But Marcel is not a dumb guy.
No,
We've talked about this. If you want to go listen to talking about the Cabinet of Boric episode we have, right and left both recognize his...
Boric sounds like a
Boric's cabinet.
Movie. The Cabinet of Boric. The specter of communism, yeah.
Yeah. Democratic Socialist. But... that was the drama last week, and the drama didn't last as long, but it was a little bit of a drama last week.
I think just one more thing. I think one thing that complicated this whole thing a little bit is that I've read somewhere that they would actually have to change the constitution for this whole thing, because according to the current constitution, for some reason, the only place like Ventanas is like the only foundry that is legally allowed to smelt copper ore. I don't know why that is.
I've not heard this.
I've read about this. Like, they would have to change if not the constitution, then a couple of laws. But like, they can't legally process copper ore anywhere else, which is insane, because like, you got other I mean, why not? And Boric was also like, hey guys, you're not gonna lose your jobs. Like,
yeah, he also said he was gonna like make sure the people of these places were protected.
But we need to change this law first to get you back on the job right now, because right now we can't do it.
Which is also a smart incentive to get the new constitution approved. Politics.
Right, yeah. But, you know, I mean, in a way, it wasn't the best moment. Right now, we're like in a period of
I know, but
very
you
like
can't
economic
ignore.
uncertainty.
Like if
And of
Boric
course you
is
can't
going,
ignore it, but
if
it was
if
bad timing. I
Boric
think.
literally just was in the U.S. and Canada talking about environmental like problems, he can't just come back to Chile, let all these children get sick while actively like, and then be like, well, I'll just wait till the Constitution gets passed. Like, you got to put your money where your mouth is, you know.
I get you, but I don't think it was really in the public's eye before he brought it up. I mean,
But again, you have to be responsible as a president,
I mean,
right?
I don't disagree.
And I
with
mean,
his
we're
decision.
like
It was just,
seven
bold timing.
seconds away from the vote, so we'll figure it out.
7 seconds.
And by
So,
that
yeah.
time, again, because it's a gradual shutdown, it probably won't even be fully shut down by the time the vote
Well,
happens.
you know what they say? Donde se cierra una ventana, se abre una puerta.
When God
And
closes the
preparing
door,
for this one.
somewhere he opens a window. Yeah. Okay. What do you got for me?
I got things.
Is there a town called Puertas?
Puertas? Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're gonna like put a new foundry there.
Dude, we have a fucking town called Yayay.
Right. So yeah, so I got
Maipu.
a mini scandal. I got a gaffe for you.
Ooh,
So
scandalo.
Irina Caramanos, you know,
Ooh,
the country's
okay, yeah.
the country's first lady, even though
first
she doesn't
madam.
really wants to be called that.
Because so if you don't know, Boric has a girlfriend. They're not married, but she's the first lady-ish, sort of.
Exactly, and she was in the center of a small scandal this week involving the redefinition of her position as, say, life partner of the president. Let's put it like that.
Nice, I like it.
The Administrative Office of the Presidency issued a resolution in which it defined the function of her future office with a focus on, and I quote, badly translated, identifying, proposing, and coordinating the strategic direction of public policies with the objective to eradicate inequality and discrimination of historically excluded groups with a cross-sectional focus on human rights and gender issues. That is a mouthful. So one point of criticism was that some of the functions outlined in this resolution are actually in direct conflict with other ministries, such as the Ministry for Women and Gender Equality or the Ministry of Social Development, so you don't want to step on each other's toes.
Right. And also, she hasn't been voted to be in her position.
Yeah, that's
She just
true.
is fucking the president.
Right, I mean... Wow.
I mean,
hey,
an honorable
calling it
position
as it
to be
is.
sure. Like,
Right.
come on. Like, who hasn't fantasized about Boric? Who has?
Me?
Okay. Am I the only one at this table who's fantasized about
Probably,
President?
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
probably.
know.
I'm the
Yeah,
only
okay, yeah,
straight
but
woman at
it's-
this table. So.
Right. You know, but I mean, it's nothing new here. I mean, first ladies always had, like, sort of... They were always working...
No. I understand that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand that. But it's like, yeah.
So
you know.
that was one point of criticism. The other one was that...
She didn't want the job. I'll take it.
this the other one was that this position will apparently not be subjected to the oversight of the Office of the Comptroller General of the Republic, or the General Accounting Office if you're
Sure.
not from the UK, which is basically an auditor whose function it is to make sure that everything that the government institutions do are above board, legally as well as financially. But actually, the little misstep that caused by far the biggest media attention and the most memes was the name change from Cabinet of the First Lady to Cabinet of Irina Caramanos.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, okay, I can see where
obviously.
this comes from, because since, as you mentioned, like at the top of this, especially President Boric has been very adamant from the start to treat his partner as like a person of their own right and not just as an accessory to the president.
Sure.
Like, I think he famously once said, like, she's not my girlfriend, she is Irina Caramanos, that's her name, which is like everybody was just
Exactly.
like,
because
great.
at the beginning of everybody, like, right when he got elected, everybody was like, who is it in there? Who is it in there? Who is it? Like, everybody was doing...
Who's that girl?
It was like,
who's that girl? Yeah.
Who's the girlfriend? Like, all of the titles were like, who is the girlfriend of the president?
Yeah.
Who is this woman? Who is da-da-da-da? And he got, like, upset. And he was like, look, she's not just the girlfriend of the president. She's an established, accomplished woman in her own right.
I think she is, and, you know.
Yeah, she's done shit.
Yeah.
You know.
She done shit.
She's done him, so she's done...
she's done
she's
a lot
done
of
it.
things.
I mean, I'm assuming that he's not asexual. From what I've heard from my friends who know him, he's not. So
Okay, well, I'm really
bi-curious,
don't have an opinion
yes,
on that,
but asexual, no.
So that was the biggest thing that really garnered a lot of press attention, because, I mean, again, I can see where this comes from, but again, like, in this case, we're talking about an office that she'll have under her purview and that will continue to exist long after Boric is going to be out of office.
I like
You
it.
know, so you do. I don't really quite agree here.
I mean, no, not
Because,
really.
of course,
But I
like,
mean,
you can imagine that this, of course, immediately spawned accusation of like nepotism and creating a cult of personality around her person. You know,
I mean, I just guess I don't see it as that serious. I mean, I understand why people
it's
would.
not serious, but it adds to the pile. Look, of course, the first one to tweet here was who
I just am tired of the right.
Cast.
Okay, of course,
You
the
know?
right wing is like they're trying to create a culture. I'm like, you literally support a dictatorship. Shut the like actively support a
Right.
dictatorship. Like
You actively
it's-
supported a cult of personality.
you
here.
literally actively support that. So why don't you shut the fuck up
Right.
and just like let things take its course? Because I'm sure that this kind of stuff is gonna like parse itself out. And if it's not, like, I'm sure the next lady or man that becomes the person is gonna be like, now it's the office of Bethany Francis. Hee hee hee.
Yeah, no, but they actually put this in writing. Anyway, I'm gonna get to that point now. What Jose Antonio Cast tweeted
Oh
was.
God, why'd I have to
He
listen
said,
to his shit?
At what point did our republic become a monarchy? Why does Irina Karamanos get a cabinet with first and last name?
Notice that he didn't say dictatorship.
Right. Why is the state at her service and not at the service of the Chilean people? What a shame, you know? And, you know, I think it's a bit heavy-handed, but okay, point taken, you know? I mean,
Why is he allowed to talk? He's not running for president anymore. He's not doing shit. He's like he doesn't have a job anymore. Get a job.
Bethany, be nice.
No.
Now, what I personally found a bit more surprising was a criticism that came from Carlos Carcaro, who is a former DA, who was actually in support of Boric during his campaign.
Sure.
And he said something that I thought was interesting. He said, with regards to the issue about Irina Karamanos, the problem is having highly paid consultants who lack preparation and experience that score these own goals. It's important to understand that the state cannot be an employment office, fewer friends, more professional. Now, this, in my opinion, is actually even more of a devastating critique because he insinuates that the Boric administration was handing out consultancy contracts to underqualified friends of Boric and the administration. Now, should this turn out to be true? Now, this would be a fallout that would be very hard to handle for the Boric administration, I think. So, yep. And of course, just a day later, the administrative direction of the presidency backpedaled, rolled the whole episode off as an administrative error. They scrapped the resolution and they rebranded.
Because that's what you do when
Right.
you feel like when you think you did something right and somebody's like, don't do that, then you admit you're wrong and you backpedal. Like,
Okay,
that's what
so
you should do.
They rebranded this whole thing like to
Nike.
the Coordinación Sociocultural de la Presidencia de la República, so Social Cultural Coordination Office of the Presidency of the Republic, which is also a mouthful.
Who cares?
But look, I mean,
I wish I could
it
care
was,
right now.
The thing is, okay, I think the thing is here is just, it was just one of an array of unnecessary fuck-ups. You know, which
It's just not
really,
that important. I just don't care. You know what I mean?
Like, it's not important, but it's just like if you really put some thought in it, like naming an office after the incumbent it's just
No,
man.
it's not. It's not a good idea. I agree with you, but also there are so many fucking things that are
Of course
happening
there
right
is,
now.
but it's just like it just adds up. There've been so many fucking missteps.
I
know?
just don't. I mean, I just guess I just don't agree. I just feel like there's way more good things that have been happening than bad things. Like, again, this is happening at the exact same time the Codelco thing is happening, and I feel like it's just the right wing. Not that it's wrong, but I just feel like it's the right wing pandering to like all of this little bitching about stuff. I'm like, bitch about something that's important.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, I agree with you here, and I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if this was the other way around, man, like if this was the right wing government,
I also wouldn't care.
The left wing would be all over.
I mean,
this whole
the
thing,
woman that was in charge
you know?
during Piñera's government, the woman that was in charge of like the female thing was like active, like she was
Ministry of the Female Thing.
the Ministry of the Female Thing, because they weren't. It was like wasn't even female in gender at that time. It was just like the female ministry was like Pinochet's like granddaughter, and it's like you're actively again showing us that you support the dictatorship, and you're actively putting somebody in this space that does not respect women, is actively voting against women and their rights to control their bodies, and like
I get that. But you also
that's
had
important.
But you also had under Piñera, for example, these whole little fuck ups like the tsunami, the maripoto, the whole thing with his picture taken in front of the statue at the Plaza Baquedano. You remember that?
Yeah, but
which was just like
yes.
absolute tone deaf. But again, you were like, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter in the scope of things because we got more important shit to deal with.
It did matter because it's a different context. Because the reason
but what
why
is the
that
context here?
Okay, well here's the thing. The reason that mattered was because that specific site was the site in which people were protesting in order to gain a new constitution, which we were on the road to doing. And so his government decided to lock every single person down, and he walked his ass up there and sat there in the site that is now called Plaza de la Dignidad, of the people who have been murdered by his administration there. That is different than some woman being like, I would like my place called Irene blah blah blah, to be able to like self-describe myself as a human person, because so many people don't believe women are human people. Like, I understand why the decision was made. Do I agree with it? It's probably not a great thing to like actually do in hindsight, but they changed it, and it's done.
But you gotta see this in the context of like, okay, what is Boric trying to accomplish here? He was from the beginning. He was just like, this is not about like who's who. I don't want to hire people.
But he backpedaled. You know what Piñera didn't do? He didn't apologize.
Okay, you gotta give him that. But it's just like what I'm trying to say here. It's just like an unnecessary thing, which really plays into the line of argumentation that the right wing has right now. It's like, see,
it's
like
just
they were
so,
like they were like,
so
hey,
stupid.
they said because they put like, okay, the Boric administration put the bar pretty high in terms of, okay, we're not gonna like corruption's gonna end, we're not gonna allow nepotism, no cronyism, no nothing. And then you have things like, okay, I'm gonna name the office after my girlfriend, like this is, or my girlfriend's gonna name the office after myself. It's
after herself.
After herself,
again,
right?
Boric did not make that decision.
No, he didn't make that decision. Like probably not even Irene Caramanos. It was probably somebody from her office. But they were
again,
like, okay,
because we didn't vote for Irene Caramanos or whatever. Like we're now talking about the Boric government as if she is actually an important aspect of it, which she's not.
No, it's not. But it's symbolism, you know. And there was this accusation by this DA who said like, look, if it really turns out that there are underqualified consultants in his administration that are actually got the job because they were chummy with Boric, that's going to be
I
fallout.
guarantee you
I hope it's not the case.
I mean,
but
I know that is not the case. Like, I mean, again, you don't have to believe me, but like, again, I'm tired of talking about this. Let's move on.
What you got?
Okay, I just have like little snippets here. I just wanted to mention, I think they're important. So a court sentenced last week a priest to 15 years in prison for sexual abuse. So the priest's name was Oscar Munoz, and he was sexually abusing minors, and these crimes took place between 2002 and 2008. So evidence established that Munoz was abused 5 minors, but there are also 2 potential other victims that he was associated with that were not included in the indictment. They demanded a 30-year sentence, but he only got 15 years. Munoz has held several senior positions and was a confidant of Santiago's Cardinal Ricardo Isati, who has been accused of covering up sexual abuse cases, which makes sense now in this context. So in 2019, Pope Francis expelled Munoz, who was taken into custody a year earlier. Chile's Catholic Church has been rocked by abuse cases for years, many of which have come to light after 2010 in the wake of Fernando Caradima case, which is like a super big case of sexual abuse by Catholic priests.
Oh,
Jesus!
Catholic people.
I did not mean that in Chile. So that was a little snippet that I thought was important to mention in the news that happened this past week. So
yeah, no, not good.
No, not good. What you got? What you got?
I got actually pretty.
You're so pretty.
Big. Thank you. I put on product today.
No, you didn't.
Okay, fine, I didn't. Actually, no, I do. In my hair. So I got actually pretty.
It's not like that naturally.
It's not a No, it's not. I use product. Yeah.
So would it lay flat if you didn't put it like that?
No, it puffs out. Are we keeping that in?
Yeah, I want to. I need the public needs to know
about
Lenny.
my hair.
Yes,
situation.
about your hair.
No,
okay.
I got like this. I got like this mushroom head situation when it grows too long.
Yeah, you look like a giant.
Like a giant mushroom.
Oh yeah. Okay,
yes,
keep going.
A giant mushroom, because this is what you wanted to say. Because we're PG-13 program people.
No, we're not.
What the fuck are we talking about now?
You just had Bethany scream fuck into the mic.
Yeah, that's what I just.
Yeah, no, this is not PG-13. Don't let your children listen to this if they speak English.
So,
Toddlers.
toddlers maybe.
Whatever, I don't care.
So we
I'm
got
not a
something
parent.
that
You
is
parent
not
your own way.
quite. We got something. I got something that's not quite yet a scandal, but this one actually might develop into a full-blown scandal, because there was a recent report by the investigative online platform Interferencia that made some very strong accusation against General Luigi Lopresti, who is the head of the Dipolcar I always read this and I want to say bipolar, but it's Dipolcar. Thank you very much.
Which is?
Which is the Dirección de Inteligencia Policial Carabineros, the
Oh.
police intelligence agency.
The Carabineros did a bad thing? Shock all
Yep.
in gas.
But actually, it's now specifically this branch of the Carabineros, which is like the secret service of Carabineros, if you will, the intelligence agency. Now, let me just do
That's worse.
that quick CMA here. Like, it has to be said that this entire piece, which was interesting to read, but it's based entirely on apocryphal information provided by sources from within the Carabineros that, for obvious reasons, prefer to remain anonymous. And when based on written
Wait,
information...
what do you mean by hypocrifal?
Apocryphal. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, okay,
It's
okay.
my weird
Apocryphal.
pronunciation. Yeah. It's anecdotal, and when it was, the information was also based on some written information, but the author has also noted that they had to paraphrase any information because of the confidential nature of these materials.
Like a gag order situation?
No. It's just like some of their sources were just like, okay, we got some written things, but this is, just like it's not official, so paraphrase it or whatever. So it was an interesting read, but like, you cannot use, like, if anything, this article should be a reason to launch an official investigation.
Right.
But by no means should it be considered as, like, evidence of anything.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah, of
just
course. Like,
get this out of the way.
You should always have an independent investigation and any sort of accusation, right?
Yeah,
That's called,
Yeah, I mean,
the
sometimes
judicial
journalists
system.
do that. Sometimes they have, like, the proof. In this case, they didn't. So
Yeah,
going
sure.
forward, like, if I don't
Either
use,
way, I feel like
if
there
I
should be an
sometimes
independent.
if I sometimes forget to use the word allegedly,
Allegedly?
you just
We mean
imagine
allegedly.
It. Just imagine. Yeah,
All the
allegedly,
lawyers
yeah.
that are up against us.
Exactly. God, we're just so besieged by
Hey,
lawyers.
dude, Chile today has been hacked before, so not us.
Oh, yeah,
People
I've
like
heard about
us.
that. Yep.
People like us. They find us they just don't take us seriously. Who wouldn't take us seriously?
Yeah, we're like hard-hitting.
Hard-hitting journalists. No,
Yeah.
but if you want the real journalists who have been hacked, you should go to the ChileToday.cl website. They're way
Yeah,
smarter
they're
than
like-
us.
They do
We're just
things.
entertaining and we just like stuff.
And we say fuck a lot.
We say fuck a lot.
Right. So, in this piece, the aforementioned General Lopresti is being accused of concerted efforts to systematically undermine the Boric administration by creating an image of incompetence through basically neglecting his institution's basic duties towards the administration and even actively withholding information from the administration.
Well, that's not nice.
That is not nice at all. Now, according to the cited sources, Mr. Lopresti and his inner circle are allegedly on the very far right of the spectrum, which I get that.
That makes sense.
But we're not talking about like Renovación Nacional or UDI right. A couple of sources actually have said that apparently the prevailing mindset of the Dipolcar is
Like
the
a neo-
Pinochetism, like really like classic Pinochetism rooted in the 60s and 70s mindset that sees political enemies just like everywhere,
Right, and then like actively saying like,
Yeah.
let's kill the communists and stuff.
Well, they didn't go that far in this article, but actually
I mean, sure.
some of the sources...
if you're more right than Uri, then
Yeah,
what
like,
is the-
just like paranoid, like everybody who's not with me is just my enemy, and that's it. It's just like you need to be probably got to be like rooted out or whatever. So, and actually some of the cited sources, they said that Lopresti was buying into the so-called dissipated molecular revolution conspiracy theory, which was put
What?
forward by renowned Chilean neo-Nazi Alexis Lopez.
Okay.
Which suggests, and you might have heard that before, that the Estallido Social was actually part of a plot to destabilize the country financed by the international left. There you go.
Yeah,
Heard
that's,
this a million times before.
I'm like, the international left, with what money?
Yep. The left doesn't have
The
money.
left has no money.
Yeah.
We have no money.
And-
they have no money.
Yeah, and they said in this article they interviewed a bunch of carabineros, and they were like, dude, like no, man, this like there was nothing. What are you talking about? Like
Yeah,
the
no.
carabineros and were like, this is bullshit, So
Venezuela, specifically they aimed at Venezuela, and it's like Venezuela has their own problems, and they don't give enough shits about you. No, it's just, if you know anything about Chile and their relationship with Venezuela, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yep, nope. So
Nope.
based on all that, it's a little surprising that Boric is apparently on top of Lopresti's shit list.
Hot.
And I said
Wait,
of
what?
moral enemies, and I said shit list, not hit list. Yeah, just to be clear here.
All I heard was Boric is on top of him, and that's all I
This
heard.
is where you stop listening, of course.
Yeah, that's where I stopped
This is
listening.
where your fanfic just.
Oh my god, I should write a Boric fanfic.
With
It would be
carabineros.
it would be Boric and Giorgio. You know what? I'm certain that fanfic exists.
Oh
Yeah.
God, did you see that?
Oh
Did you
my
see
gosh.
those
Okay,
memes?
pause.
Yeah.
So when this is important, okay? When Boric was in the
Yep.
US, Giorgio, which is like been his best friend since like university times, like posted a song about because Boric was having beer with Trudeau.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in the US, he was in Canada. He was having beers with Trudeau, like super casual, like with his tattoos showing, like out of a suit kind of situation. And Giorgio like posted a song, like a sad song, like "You betrayed me, I can't believe you don't love me anymore," with the picture of him drinking beers with Trudeau, and it like made news headlines
Yeah.
that Giorgio was
And
doing
he
this.
also posted that meme. What was his name of this Mexican singer? This famous meme of him hiding like behind a palm tree. What's the name of the singer?
I know what you're talking about. Though.
And he was
It's
like
the meme with
pasting
the-
his face on.
It's the meme where like the the meme, even if
Like
you don't know
the
the singer, it's
jealous guy,
like the
the
jealous
bicep-
guy behind the
the palm
tree,
tree.
like watching. Yeah, and it was so funny.
Yep.
Best friends.
Best friends. Okay, coming back to neo-Nazis and conspiracy theories, because this
Which
is a lot more
Giorgio
fun than
and
we
Boric
did.
are not.
No, they're like seem to be the target of this whole thing. So yeah, so basically the author of this report established that Lopresti is a wee bit paranoid and even buys into like neo-Nazi conspiracy theories.
And he's
Allegedly,
and he's like
allegedly,
and he's like in charge. That's fun.
of the basically intelligence branch
No
of
wonder
the
Boric
Carabineros.
wants to like overhaul the Carabineros. I mean,
Yep.
for lots of other reasons too. But let's just go start there.
Now, a bit about the person of Lopresti himself. He was actually one of the officers, which kind of like explains a lot. He was one of the officers in charge of spying on student leaders back in 2011, among them Boric, Jackson, and Vallecas. So there you go.
That
And
makes so sense.
8 years later, in late
Can you
2000,
imagine like being a kid, like because he was a kid, like Boric was a kid, because he was a kid back in 2011. Because my fiance went to university with him. My fiance was a child, like a child, like, and they were just kids. Obviously, Boric is president now, but like they didn't know what the half of the shit that they were doing. Like they were standing up for what they believed in, but they honestly they're just kids. Like leave them
I mean,
alone.
they were financed by the international left.
Oh my God! Trust me, they did not get any money. They
They were
had
like, I wish.
they were wearing the same underwear for the entire time they were like protesting, like Universidad de Chile.
Yeah, man.
I've heard stories. So anyway,
So that guy. So 8 years later, in 2019.
where's that money? I'd like to be buying my own
Shit,
apartment
yeah.
with my fiance with that money.
Where's my membership
from the
card?
where's my international left money?
So in 2019, Lopresti, he assumed office of the director of the Dipolcar after being actually commended by the government as well as the Carabineros High Command for his apparently successful executed intramarchas, which were infiltrations by the Carabineros of the protest marches during the Estallido Social,
Which a lot of people have been saying is a
Wait.
real thing.
which resulted in they say it is a real thing, and it resulted in multiple arrests. And even though, however, many of these people that were arrested eventually were let go due to the lack of evidence,
Sure.
but not before spending a couple of months in jail before. So that was kind of controversial, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Now, as for Lopresti's alleged campaign against the Boris
Boris.
Boric administration, the articles...
Boris is our boss.
Yeah, it's true that. Pay me money.
Pay me money, Boris. We're volunteers. That is why we have a Patreon. Support us, please. We do this out of the love of our hearts and to like inform you because we love you. If you don't give a shit about Chilean tips or free stuff, at least just support us.
So, right.
Lenny doesn't have a job.
I'm running out of... Hey, what do you mean? I'm an entrepreneur.
He's an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
We're
kinda
both
goes
actually
without-
entrepreneurs. I'm just more successful than you.
Yeah, apparently that's the case. That hurts, but it's true. So, getting back on track. So, as for Lopresti's alleged campaign against
Keep it in.
the Boric administration, the articles mentioned several things. Hold on to
your
seatbelt.
hats.
Now, one was withholding critical information during the meetings with the National Intelligence
Jesus,
Agency,
come on.
even though, according to the interviewed source, that seemed to be common practice also under the Piñera administration. They were just like,
Just don't.
they had like pre-meetings before they were meeting up with the intelligence service. They were like, so what we're going to tell them this time?
No, just don't. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't care if you're right wing or left wing. The police, Secret Service, FBI, whatever you call SII, like, you gotta share shit. Like, this is a democracy as far as what we know. And so, like, you just, don't. Like, if you're super against the fact that Boric wants to, like, rehaul everything, then do your fucking job. Like, Anger.
So that was one thing, even though Boric wasn't the first victim of this, let's say, omission. This,
Right, like, because the Piñera, like I said, like, Piñera government, right wing, you should still be telling him the whole thing, because
like, no, we're not going to tell him
we're not going to tell him about all those people we raped.
The other thing is allegedly.
Oh, God.
The other thing is the suspension of the nightly patrols around the president's residence, which really rolls off the tongue nicely, by Dipolcar officials. Now,
like Boric's residence.
Yeah, now, okay, we got to put this in context. Not that they didn't have police protection at all. There are, like, let's say, foot soldiers, quote unquote, carabineros, guarding those, but apparently what they did, people from the Dipolcar, let's say, branch, came by, checked up what's going on, and so on and so forth. This has been like an unofficial practice during the last couple of administration, which includes Piñera and Bachelet. But as of March, they were just like, nah, we're not going to do this any longer. So,
Jesus. And that is like, that's not good, especially with Boric, because Boric lives in the barrios. Like, he lives in Barrio Yungay, which is a great place to, like, go and visit. And, like, I have a lot of friends. You could actually say that a
lot of his constituents actually live there.
No, that's true. But, like, it's not, like, a place in which you would say is, like, super protected just in general. Like, there's not police walking around the streets all the time. Barrio Yungay. This is not La Buenachea. This is the center of the city.
Yep. And actually, in this context, it really stands out that, you know, Boric has actually suffered more security breaches than any other administration since the return to democracy. They listed two examples. They said this year on May 14th.
Like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 months.
And they said they listed two. I don't really have the numbers here, but they said they mentioned
he got something thrown at him.
On May 14th, one person from I didn't know about that. One person from Boric's security detail was abducted in San Miguel.
Oh my
got
God!
Shot in the right arm.
Oh
and then
my
he was
God!
Dumped in Colina, which is like 30 kilometers away.
Oh my God!
That happened. I had no idea that happened. And just a few days later, there was actually a shootout only a few blocks away from Boric's house, which resulted in one dead and two wounded. So.
I mean, it is Barrio Yungay.
It is Barrio Yungay still, right? But they were just
I mean, I love Barrio Yungay.
Like, if the president lives there, you gotta have a perimeter.
Some of my best friends live in Barrio Yungay, which is not a joke. Which is actually not a joke. I mean, it is a joke, but I lived a block away from Barrio Yungay for a long time. It's a great place. Probably not the greatest place to live if you're the president of a country. Yeah. But there's a reason he wanted to live there, because he wanted to live of the people, and also, like, Boric is no stranger to, like, putting his, like, neck on the line for the greater good. Like, that's what he's always been doing.
Right. But the thing is just, like, if the president lives there, you gotta have a security perimeter.
You have to. I mean, yeah, I'm not making an excuse.
More than 1 or 2
it's
blocks,
just,
man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on. No. I mean, and then it always reminds me, just, like, anecdotally of, like, how Boric has always handled these kinds of situations, because he's always been very aware of people's right to hate him. Like, no, I mean, like, that's the thing. Grade. Like, do you remember, like, when he refused to vote with his party? Mm-hmm. He was sitting in the park. He was sitting there, like, with his friends, and people came up to him and just started pouring beer and and soda and on his head. He was just sitting there, and he just let them. He just let them pour. Like, wow. And it was one of those moments where you were just like, imagine you being that person, and you're just sitting there and they were screaming at him and calling him, like, amarillo and, like, all these different kinds of really horrible names. He just, like, sat there and he just, like, took it. And it's like, you know what? Like, there's something very interesting, and I'm not quite sure if I have the words for it, but about a person with the type of patience and temperament to feel like these people still have the right to be angry at me for this decision that I made. Yep. Like, and he didn't get up and, like, scream at them, or
he didn't lose his
shit at all. And you know, I didn't agree with him with that specific decision that he made either, but it was just, like, really, like, I don't know, impresionante, that moment.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think what a lot of people don't see that are not part of the political day-to-day is just, like, there's so much horse trading going on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I have no clue. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of his decision that he made were probably, like, I don't want this, but I have to because
oh, yeah, like,
do this, then
like the first days in his... I mean, there was a real shift from, like, when he was in the primaries to when he started running, like, legit running for president against Cast. He did not address a lot of security issues because he knew during his primaries that he would have to then talk about working with the carabineros. Yeah. And so there was a shift when he started running for president, like directly as far as like him being up against Cass, that he knew he had to start addressing security issues and talking with and working with the carabineros.
Yeah, back on topic because we're getting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
True that. So let's go back to those little negligence, like omissions, crimes of omissions here. So well, this is another one that was interesting. In the beginning of 2022, there were actually hints that the student protests were about to flare up again. After months and years of like homeschooling.
Sure.
But apparently Lopresti decided to withhold this information from the government, and in the end, it was not as bad as some people might have suggested. In the end, it was just only 4 schools of like 4,000 or whatever that actually went ahead with the occupation of the school grounds. But the image that stuck with the public was one of chaos and insecurity, and the government not being able to handle things, And he was just like, no, I'm just not going to give the government.
I mean, there's political reasons.
And very similar thing actually happened on June 1st, not too long ago, because within the context of Boric's State of the Nation speech, the Dipolkartli decided to classify the accompanying protests, which everybody was like, there's going to be protests because it's a state of the nation, state of the nation speak. He decided to classify it as low risk, even though according to some sources in the article, it was absolutely foreseeable that this was going to be everything but low risk.
I mean, typically in Chile, those types of speeches are not.
Yep. And he was just like, no, low risk. And as a consequence, there was barely any riot police on the streets. And, as you could have foreseen, this whole thing turned violent. Like, shops were looted and carabineros got hurt enough that they had to be admitted to hospitals. And actually, for this act of negligence, the Dipolkat actually received a lot of shit from other units within the carabineros, which like, you didn't tell us.
Yeah, and you know
us.
what? I'm glad that backfired, because whatever you think about the carabineros, because trust me, I probably agree with you, they're still workers. Right. And they still deserve to be protected by the person that's supposed to be protecting them. Like, they're definitely more protected than the civilians. Like, absolutely 100%. Like, the civilians still should have the priority there of protection. But they're still workers. They're still people trying to just, like, live their lives. And they're not collateral damage to your political agenda. Like, those individual people.
Yep.
Like, you don't. Like, people aren't people. Period.
Are
not collateral damage to your political agenda.
They said like Lopresti was actually saying like Boric is my moral enemy. Like, I gotta take him down. Like that
you don't get to do that and like run the thing that Boric is supposed to be in charge of. Like, you can't. No, stop.
Yeah. So some sources also accused Lopresti of not only withholding information but submitting said information to the opposition instead of the government or even the Carabineros High Command. And they said, like, on April 13th, the Republican Party confronted Minister of the Interior Isquias Siches with a report on 3,500 violent incidents in the Araucanía region during the last years. And the government was just like, where'd you get that from?
Yeah.
And it's suspected that this report was actually leaked to them, to the opposition, to the Republican Party by
So who can fire this guy? Is Boric able to fire this guy?
No, actually. So, November last year, the General Ricardo Yáñez, who's like the big boss of the Carabineros, he was actually about to remove Lopresti from his office because it turned out that Lopresti skipped the chain of command by sending reports directly to the presidency. That was when Piñera was still in charge. And
he just sounds like a corrupt piece of shit. Like, not even like
he has his own moral agenda. It was just like,
you don't know. Like, I don't like, again, if you're against Piñera and you're against, like, no, like, stop, because security is a huge problem in Chile right now that we're trying to solve. Listen to our Araucanía episode.
Yep.
But no neo-Nazi fascists. No.
So Ricardo Yáñez was kind of like, this can't be happening. You can't be just skipping the chain of command here. It's like, this has got to go through me. You can't just send this off directly to the president. He was about to just destitute his ass.
And what happened?
And what happened
Tell me what happened.
Well, you want to tune in next time.
To be continued. No.
No, what happened was, turns out that Lopresti was actually pretty chummy with then Undersecretary of the Interior, Juan Eduardo Gay. What was his name? Yeah. And Juan Francisco Gay. And Juan Francisco Gay was just like, that ain't gonna happen.
And we were just talking about how Irene was having like problems, and that was a big deal, and this shit's going down with the past administration.
And he was
this is my point, bitches. This is my point.
And not only that guy, that he even got then Interior Minister Rodrigo Delgado on board, and they were just like, nope, that guy stays.
Besties, BFF. We have bracelets.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened there, so it was kind of weird. So now, within the deep water, it's apparently an open secret that Lopresti has a chip.
An open secret.
An open secret that Lopresti has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Ricardo Yáñez, big boss of the Carabineros, because ever since the start of the Boris administration, Yáñez has tried to maintain a good relationship with the Moneda, which, I think goes to show.
I mean, hey, again, that's the whole point, right? Like, let's have talks and work together. That's why the Codelco shit only lasted a day.
And I think it was an interesting point, because Yáñez also know what side his bread is buttered on, because they were like, okay, he knows that ever since the center-left, as they put it in the article, which was, I thought, interesting, because that was the first time that an article actually called this administration center-left.
Center-left instead of extreme left?
Yeah, that was
Beep,
interesting.
boop, bop.
So he was like, he knows that this administration kind of calmed down the never-ending protests in the street and gave the Carabineros a breather. So in a way, Ricardo Yáñez was kind of like thankful for that.
And
so
yet this other guy is putting the Carabineros in direct risk of those protests. That's not okay.
And he doesn't like that Yáñez and Boris are getting too chummy. So
Okay, so how do we fire this guy? Lenny, tell us. How do we do it?
Well,
you're German. You're good at taking over things that you're not supposed to take over. Tell me how we do it.
Like this podcast, get out of here.
Everybody get out of here. Get out of here.
Well, I think
I'm walking here.
I'm walking here. I think it's inevitable after this report came out. I think an internal investigation is inevitable, and reactions didn't wait long. I mean, after this whole thing was published, the Socialist Party already demanded an exhaustive investigation into this matter, as well as Jorge Baradit, a writer you might have heard of.
Yes.
Patricia Boritzer from the Independent Non-Neutral Party. I don't know if that's a party or just a political movement, but whatever. The group she's affiliated with, she requested an official statement from the head of the Carabineros, Ricardo Yáñez, and there were a bunch more that I just not even going to mention. They were like, okay, somebody needs to shed light on this shit because this can't be happening. So that's what I meant. I mean, everything you read in this article was just apocryphal. It was just like, okay, he said, she said, but let's look into that.
Not apocryphal. We would say anecdotal. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like you're saying hypocritical, which is not what you're trying to say.
Nice. Hypocritical.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, yeah. Anyway,
anecdotal.
So it was anecdotal. It was mostly anecdotal. So
we'll see what happens. Yeah. Grain of salt, everybody. But. We'll keep you updated here.
Yep.
Tune in next time too. We're gonna try to do more of these news episodes in the future, just to make sure you're getting because
your news fix.
You're getting your news. You're newsing it. Your newsies. Okay, so for lighthearted news, we like to end on some lighthearted stuff. So there's a Chilean, quote, ice mermaid who set 2 open water records. So it's a Chilean psychologist and swimmer, Barbara Hernandez, and she's also known as the ice mermaid, recently announced that she had 2 world records for a death-defying swim in February.
Ooh.
So on June 14th, Hernandez received formal recognition from Guinness World Records for the fastest mile swam through the Drake Passage, which she covered in 15 minutes and 3 seconds. The World Open Water Swimming Association also named her as the first person to swim 3 nautical miles, which is 5,500 meters, through the passage. She completed this feat in 55 minutes and 17 seconds. The Drake Passage extends from Cape Horn in South America's southernmost tip to Antarctica's South Shetland Islands. So cold is what we're trying to say. Cold. That's why she's the ice mermaid.
Right.
The pass is known for its currents at the latitude that meets no resistance from any landmass. So this plus near freezing temperatures makes sailing, let alone swimming, a serious challenge. It's very cold, is what she says. It's around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. So that's what she said. So to ensure Hernandez's safety, the Chilean Navy monitored her throughout her swim. Oh, they have a job. Okay.
Wow.
It's a joke. However, to achieve her record, she was not allowed to receive assistance, not allowed to stop to rest, and not permitted to wear a wetsuit. So she had to just be swimsuiting it up.
Shit.
Yeah, in cold ass shit. How is she not dead? Good, she's a superhero.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to arm wrestle her.
No, not just that, just her skin and her blood, whatever.
The Iceman.
So she told Reuters that the achievement has been an opportunity to show Chilean waters to the entire world and shed light on climate change, which makes my heart smile. This achievement adds to her resume, as in 2020 she was awarded the World Open Water Swimming Woman of the Year.
Is that a thing?
Apparently.
The World Open Water Swimming Woman.
I mean, open water is apparently a thing, and
she's
she's Chilean, and it's amazing, and she's a badass. So there you go. Beep
Righto,
boop bop.
righto.
Okay, what you got? Happiness.
Coolio. Yeah,
you got happiness for us.
I got something a bit weird. So there's
weird, not
this is organization called Bosque Adentro,
Okay.
who understands itself as an organization of, and I quote, ancestral masters and witches. And they have leveled strong accusations against the councilwoman of the Biobío region, Javiera Vargas, for not holding up her end of the bargain that they made.
What?
Because according to the organization, they executed a magic ritual for Ms. Vargas back in 2021, which eventually, according to them, led to her being elected into the office of regional council. And in return, Ms. Vargas promised the organization that as a councilwoman, she would create foundation that would foster their growth as spiritual entrepreneurs. I'm quoting again. But apparently she has been dodging them, rescheduling meetings after meetings, and now Bosque Adentro has
But like
involved the
she
PDI.
like actively was like, yeah, sure, at the beginning.
At the beginning, she was like, yeah, I'll do that. Now she's like dodging them, and Bosque Adentro was just like, I got enough, and they involved the PDI to report her for breach of contract. Now, crazy shit aside, hey, you make a deal.
Yeah, you should follow through.
You
I don't
honor
think
it,
the
man.
breach of contract thing is gonna fly, but however, like, just be nice.
And also,
like,
no wonder people don't trust politicians anymore if the shit keeps.
yeah,
on
if you're like getting in with some like witches, I mean, I don't necessarily believe in witches, but if something happens, maybe it was witchy. I don't know. Like, just be nice to people. Like, say
witchy?
you're gonna follow through with some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just don't open portals to another dimension or anything. I mean, come on.
We've all seen Multiverse of Madness, or should have. Lenny.
Is it streaming now, isn't it?
It is on Disney Plus.
But not for free, is it?
No, yes,
Is
on
it?
Disney Plus.
I know, but sometimes Disney Plus has like an
No,
additional paywall.
it's, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is not an advertisement. We're not getting paid by Disney Plus. Follow us on
No,
Patreon.
we're paying Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah, all of us are paying. Please follow us on Patreon. Pay for a Disney Plus subscription. So, that's really cool. I mean, like, that's really weird, but that's really cool. I like my Ice Mermaid thing better, if I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, I think your Ice Mermaid was just unbeatable here.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning into our news episode. We're going to try to do like news episodes every once in a while because there's a lot of things happening in Chile these days with the constitution and like the change of government. And so we enjoy doing them. I hope you enjoy listening to them. And when in doubt,
Gringo out.
bye.
The Chile Today podcast is hosted by Lennart Kluge and Bethany Francis and produced by Diego Pinguino Rivera. For more information on the news topics you heard today, check out chiletoday.cl.